Hey, what's up, my friends? So, welcome back to another week of our weekly market analysis. If you're one of the more than 2,000 subscribers, right, watching this video every week, I want to say thank you, right? I appreciate your support and the time you spend each weekend with me. And for those of you who are new, right, to what I do, right, basically I'm a trend follower, right? I like to trade trends in the market. So how I go about it is, I typically identify the trend on the weekly time frame, and I get my entries on the daily and forward time frame. So this is basically what I do, and I share with you my thought process on the trades I take, the trades I manage, and and even the losses that incur to me, right? This is the effect of trading, right? You have losses along the way. So that's it, right? In this week's market analysis, I'm going to share with you this currency pair, which has been ranging over the last 6 months. And on Friday, it finally broke out. So I want to share with you my thought process on how I'll be, looking to trade this kind of breakout setups, because there are some types of breakout that I will not trade, and there are some types of breakout that I would trade. So I want to share with you what are the difference between these two kind of breakouts. So all this and more in this week's market analysis. I'll see you there. Alrighty, so the currency pair that has actually broken out this week is actually none other than the Aussie dollar, right? It has break and close above this 50 period moving average and this area of resistance as well. This may not be too clear, but we will see it much clearly right later in the daily time frame. But as of now, it has actually broke above the 50 period moving average on a weekly time frame, and this is significant. Why is that? Because over the past 1 year, right, from here to here, price has never closed above the 50 period moving average. And this week, it managed to do just that. So this is actually something significant in the markets. It's telling you that there is a shift, right? There is a sentiment shift, right? Because over the past 1 year, it has never been able to close above the 50 period moving average. And finally, this week, it managed to do so. So it's telling you something, right? That this is something significant. And if you look at the daily time frame, you notice that it actually broke above this key resistance over here, right? This key resistance over here. You notice that price tested once, traded lower, tested twice, traded lower, tested thrice, traded lower, and tested the fourth time and broke out of it. So now the key question is, whether will this breakout sustain, whether this will be a reversal or is this just simply a pullback. So the thing is, I have absolutely no idea, right? I just simply trade what I see. I don't really, try and predict what it will do. So it's very simple what I'm going to do. Let me share with you my thought process on how I'm going to trade both sides of it, right? Let's say coming on Monday or Tuesday, right? Price, attempt to trade higher, but just couldn't get so. And midweek, it closes back under the area of resistance. Then chances are, right, closes back below this area of resistance, chances are this is a false breakout. And if that happens, then I'll be looking to take the short side, right? Get a sell stop order near the low, stop loss above this high over here. And, this is potential areas where you want to consider taking your profits. So that's number one, the first scenario, where price, if it does a false breakout. Number two is where this is a legitimate move and this is potentially the reversal in the markets. If that's the case, then what I'll be looking for is this, right? Price starts to retrace, forming some sort of a flag pattern back towards this previous resistance turn support, and then I'll look to play the breakout of the flag pattern, get my buy stop above this high, stop loss of 280 here, I think just somewhere about here, and anticipate that price would continue higher. So this is what I mean by I trade what I see, not what I think, right? I just simply follow what the market is doing and I execute my plan accordingly. If it forms a flag pattern and holds above the resistance, I look to get long. If it does a false breakout and closes back below the resistance, I look to get short. So in no way am I predicting what the market is doing. I'm just simply trading what I see, not what I think. So I hope you understand this concept of, trade what you see and not what you think. All right, because this is something that I got from a few traders asking me, what does it really mean? So I hope this explains, right, what I mean by trade what you see and not what you think. Okay, so this is my take on the Aussie dollar. Another pair that I want to, highlight to you is actually the pound yen. Looking at the pound yen, you can see that it is also, not looking in great shape, right? We have this, the weekly time frame, it has been respecting the 20 and 50 period moving average for quite a while. Then the move came, right, where it formed actually this head and shoulders pattern, right? This is the left shoulder, this is the head, this is the right shoulder, and we have this neckline over here. When it broke below this neckline, then we had this, quite a big sell down over here. So in the meantime, for pound yen, I'm actually bearish on this. So I'm looking to get short the pound yen. And now the question would be, right, Rainer, where are you looking to get short on the pound yen? So if you look at a daily time frame, there is opportunity for you to get short, right? Reference from this low over here, right? We have this swing low, price rally higher. It breaks below this swing low, then it retraces higher. Where does it retrace to, right? Previous support, now turn resistance. Then it traded lower once more. So now, right now, it's, retracing again. So where do you think the move would possibly terminate at? If you ask me, I would say there's a good chance that we could see the move terminate somewhere in this area over here, right? This structure high, this swing high over here. So I'll be looking for price to come into this area, right? Perhaps giving me a false breakout, a pin bar, or engulfing pattern. This would give me a shorting opportunity to take in expectation that the market would resume towards the downside. So this is my take on the pound yen. And I'd like to talk about gold as well. Gold, right? Looking at the weekly time frame, gold is a market that is interesting because on the weekly time frame, you can see that clearly, right? Gold has been in the downtrend for quite a while, right? From this entire sell down over here. But what's interesting is that it has, again, something changed structurally, right? Because it is the first time, right, that it has actually closed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles above the 50-period moving average. Right? If you look at it historically, usually it closed above the 50-period moving average, the next candle it closed back down. It closed above the 50-period moving average, the next candle it closed back down. And for this, a special case, closed once, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, the 4th week it closed back down. And this one, right, it just spiked up above it and then it closed back lower. And this time round is significant as well because it has actually closed above the 50-period moving average for 5 weeks in a row. Right? So this could be a potential bottom in gold. Okay, and if you draw this downward trend line over here, right, it is broken above it as well. So that's it, right? I'll be looking for long opportunities on gold. But that's it. On the daily time frame, you saw this pennant formation, this one over here. So if you took the breakout, right, you would probably be around break even right now. So that's it. For those of you who do not trade this breakout, my suggestion for you is you can go down to the 4-hour time frame and you can find a pattern that is already so familiar with you, right? If you've been following me for the last few weeks, the last few months, you know what I'm going to do right now, right? What am I going to do? Chances are you'd say that, I'll wait for retracement back towards the 20-50 period moving average. This is an area for you to get long, right? Stops of 2 ATR and watch if price can reverse back towards the upside. So if this is what you predicted, then hey, well, you have been watching well, all right? You have understood this concept the way I trade, all right? So this is what I'll be looking for in gold, all right? A retracement back towards the 20-50 period moving average, then look to get long. So some traders may wonder, Rainer, do you just simply queue with a buy limit order? Do you wait for a candlestick confirmation, right? There is absolutely no right or wrong way about it, right? Some traders are more comfortable placing a buy limit order over here. Some traders would rather wait for a pin bar and engulfing pattern before they go long. Some traders would just wait for a higher close. So there are different subtleties to the way you can do about it. The concept is the same, but the way you execute it, the exact parameters, that usually would vary from trader to trader. And I want to say that there's really no right or wrong. Right? You have to find something that suits you, suits your belief, something that you're comfortable executing over and over again, and stick to it. Okay? So that's it. But nonetheless, this is an area that I really want to highlight out, right? The 20-50 period moving average on the 4-hour time frame on gold. Okay? So last but not least, right? The last thing I want to cover is this market over here. If you recall, a few weeks back, right, we talked about the FIRE bond, the US FIRE bond. I said that this is an area of resistance, right? Look at this area of resistance. Price will spike up higher, traded lower. Then it spike all the way up higher, traded lower. Then this time around, it spike up higher already. And then it started to trade lower. So at this point in time, I said somewhere here, you can look to get short the market, right? I'll say this is a pretty good trade because you have very favorable risk to reward, right? If you can zoom out a little bit and say you could get short where price, let's say a bit slow, right? You went short after price closed at this candle over here, right? So you get short somewhere here, stop loss above this high, right? This is still, right, a decent trade because the nearest place where price is going to find buyers is at this low over here and this low over here. So at this point in time, if you took the trade, right, I'll say for more conservative traders, you can look to take some of your profits off at this low over here and try to ride the remaining position and take your profits off at this low over here. So this is the trade that I think I made out a few weeks back seems to be looking fine right now. So this is actually how we can actually go about to manage this swing trade, right? This is not a trend following trade. This is more of a swing trade because, again, look at the context of the market, right? You look at the weekly time frame, it is basically in a range, in a very long range, right? So I wouldn't want to go short down here thinking that the range will break out and, you know, trade for a long time, right? Because chances are it will still stay in this range for a while, and it will be prudent instead just to, you know, take your profits off the table. If it does break out, you can always re-enter once again, right? So this is my take on the 5-year bond on the US side. Okay, so that's it. That's all I have for you in this week's market analysis. I hope you got something useful out of it. All right. So with that, right, if you have any questions, any feedback, any comments, just leave it below, right? I always do my best to reply each and every one of them. Of course, you don't give me, you know, funny questions like, oh, Rainer, I'm in a loss right now. What should I do? Should I cut my trade? Should I hold on? I am not a financial advisor. I can't really advise on it. But if you ask me questions on trading, right, techniques and stuff, etc., then yes, all right, I can do my best to help. All right. So with that, all right, I wish you all good luck and good trading. I'll talk to you soon.